Good morning, everyone. Next Generation Weather Forecaster Joe Shaka here from StormChaserJS.com. Looking at the tropics, we have a very, very busy time ahead with two entities that need to be watched extremely closely. So we'll be taking a look at both of those. We'll be taking a look at the model guidance and the overall background state of the pattern, which is very, very concerning over the next several weeks. Okay, so first of all, we will start here with the National Hurricane Center's areas of interest. You can see, let me grab a color that will work here. So this is 95L. This is going to become 96L probably later on today. So this area here that's in red that I've circled, that is in purple. This area here will propagate up there, and you'll see a whole bunch of items on that, and you'll also see this here as well. But this is what the National Hurricane Center has designated at the time of this recording, a little bit after 8 o'clock here on September 12th. So that is what the National Hurricane Center 5-day probabilities are of development. Now we're moving along to the first system, the area in red, 95L, and this is the European operational. We'll be looking at operational and ensemble guidance today in this video from the European on both of these systems. So here is the European operational with the first system. This is valid tomorrow night. You can see has a 1,006 millibar low here in the northern Bahamas, which is unfortunately going to hinder any recovery efforts from Hurricane Dorian not too long ago. So this is some very, very bad news as it is, that you're going to get an entity developing coming up through the Bahamas. Even though it's a weak system, any kind of impact like this is going to be a problem for the northern Bahamas. So this is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Then we step out to Saturday evening, and again, a slow-moving system potentially. A slow, agonizing crawl through the areas devastated by Dorian here in the Grand Bahamas. So this is Saturday evening, 8 p.m. You can see what that looks like there. Then Sunday evening, it starts really intensifying off the east coast here of Florida, but bringing impacts to the coastline, some rain and some gusty winds. Europeans down 909, down to 990 in this run. And the last several runs of the European were a week over Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico. So this is a big shift, and pretty much a lot of the global models on this staying on the eastern side of Florida now and becoming a very intense hurricane, possibly by the middle of next week. So this is certainly a big shift that we've seen over the last 12 hours or so from where we were over the last couple of days. But nevertheless, there is Sunday afternoon and evening there. We head out to Monday, and again, this is going to be a slow crawl because if you notice over here on the northeastern part of this map, around 40 north, you have high pressure now setting up and through here. You have a high there, you have a high there, and you have weak steering currents down again where this entity is going to be hanging out over that very, very warm water. So there's not much to really move this thing around if a scenario like this plays out. And you also have this upper trough that's going to be trying to interfere with this down the road. So there is Monday evening, and here is the ensemble. I only wanted to take it out a few days because it's such a dramatic swing in the guidance that I don't want it to flip back around. So I wanted to get a little bit of an intro on this. I want to build up my case study to see if we can get more consistency here with the models on a solution like we're starting to see here. So anyway, here's the European ensemble guidance again. East of Florida and the northern Bahamas, and then you can see here how some of the members are starting hooking it out, because what's going to happen is that there's going to be another feature coming across here, again, a large-scale trough out here as well, along with a trough here over the plains. So what's possible, and hopefully will be good, is that there'll be a weakness out here. So whatever this thing is, feels the weakness and turns out like you see there in the ensembles, which will be great news because we don't need impacts from a system like this along the East Coast from already what we may be seeing in Florida and possibly even Georgia and maybe even South Carolina by early next week. So there's the European ensemble through 5 days looking like that. It's time to turn this out. Here's the ensemble mean at 500 millibars. And again, there's this weakness here. I'll switch over to white to make that a little bit easier to see. Again, here's this weakness out here south of northeast Canada where that white X is. And let me grab my pen again and switch back over to purple. And then you can see with the purple X here, here's where that system is located at 500 millibars. So you got the big ridge here. You have the upper level trough going out here. And where is this in relationship to this trough? How deep is this trough? Where is the system? And is this ridge out here a little stronger? So these are a couple of things to look at over the next couple of days, what the steering is going to be like for this system. And it looks like it will become Herberto no matter what it does regarding the steering. This is going to develop. But again, that steering pattern by early next week is going to be interesting to tell the tale what exactly happens with that system. And then by next Thursday, you can see the European has it off the Outer Banks as it gets blocked by this big high that the operational sends down. And again, you'll see the ensembles. There's a lot that could go on with this kind of a situation. But nevertheless, let's turn our attention to the second system that's going to possibly be coming into play down the road. And this is next Thursday, about a week out. And there's yet another hurricane down here in the Caribbean. This is next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. I get another tropical entity down here, and let's step that out. So there's next Thursday. Here's next Friday. Don't pay too much attention to this, because that is just a shot in the dark of a landfall in the Delmarva from possibly Humberto, the first system. But here's the second system. Unfortunately, a stronger hurricane possibly in the Bahamas in about a week after Humberto goes by. So this is going to be a real problem if this kind of forecast verifies. There's next Friday at 2 p.m. And then next Saturday evening, it comes straight up, and it's sitting off the southeast coast where possibly Humberto is. But there's going to possibly be two systems off the southeast coast over the next 7 to 9 days. Certainly a concerning pattern. Then as we step the pattern out to this time frame, let's see what purple looks like. You have this big trough digging in here again. So whatever this is, and this has been more my concern, believe it or not, over the last few days, is that you're going to get some kind of entity here off the southeast coast after the 20th of September. You're going to get this big, deep trough that digs down here, and there's something sitting down here. Maybe it's more of an impact to the northeast and possibly an impact of every state from Florida to Maine. Once we get to the 20th to the 25th, that's been something I've been looking at now over the last couple of days until possibly Humberto, started to show up like it did this morning on the model. So if you look at the European operational, there are two hurricanes impacting the East Coast over the next 10 days. So we'll see how that works out. But again, this is more of a concern for me. The system that's off of Africa now, that's going to be coming across the Atlantic over the next week. And unfortunately, possibly, again, a high impact to the Bahamas, if possibly not even two impacts to the Bahamas with that. And again, here's an upper level feature steering pattern. Let me grab, I don't know what color would be good for this. Let me see, maybe orange. But let's show you again. Here's this big trough digging in here. Try purple maybe. But you can see in the plains, you got this big feature digging in. Here's the system that's going to be coming up this weekend that's down here. Here's the next one. And it's possible that both of these features get implied with this trough, that they both get sent up. So I don't know what to say. I want to see a little bit more, a few more model runs on this, but this is certainly a pattern that is possibly not going to produce any good. No good could come out of a pattern like this if one were to set up with two entities off the southeast coast and a big trough digging in like that. Okay, so this is, again, the feature that I already talked about. This is the first one that's coming along. There's that trough. We'll see if it can make that connection and get taken out. And then here is day 10 and 11. There'll be more trough in here. The feature is going to be somewhere in here. You have a ridge over here. I don't know, maybe that's going to come up, or maybe it gets turned out. Again, too far to tell. And then here is day 12, I believe, out 264. Deeper trough in here. Something sitting in here. Block over northeast Canada. It comes right up into New England. That's maybe something down the road, again, 20 to the 23rd. Operational, I mean, this is the ensemble. Precipitation anomalies, you can see here. The enhancement here of likely both of those features. Here's the other one down here in the Caribbean. This is through day 9. There's the 7-day anomaly. Then week 2, that feature that's coming through the Caribbean will be in here. This comes up, so you can see how we have like this track setting up along the East Coast over the next week to 10 days. Here is the European members. You can see now, I have no idea what color I'm going to use for this. Probably not any color, because no color is going to fit for this. Possibly besides white. That's not white, is it? Where did it go? Let's see. Yeah, well, whatever. You get the idea that there's a lot of tracks in here. Our first feature that we talked about, somewhere in here, it heads out, as you saw in the first ensemble suite that I showed. The second feature, if I can even find it in here, looks like it starts developing west of 50 west, close to 55 west. You can see the tracks here, close to Puerto Rico. Then it comes up and it gets lost in this big conglomerates of tracks. But you can see there's tracks anywhere really from the eastern Gulf of Mexico all the way up to New England. So this whole East Coast next 2 weeks, got to be on guard, and there'll be more action coming off Africa after that. So, but we're going to be really rocking and rolling the next 3 to 5 weeks in the Atlantic Basin. This is going to be a continuous flow, it appears to be. So there's the ensembles, at least through the next 15 days for storm tracks. Now, this is my favorite product. Now, white will work on this quite nicely. Excuse me. So what we're taking a look here is we're taking a look at the European ensemble upward motion and downward motion pattern. So this is now through Monday. You can see this green is upward motion. We have upward motion here in the Atlantic Basin, sinking motion over Africa, but that won't impact and development as they continue to come west. So this is over the first 5 days, upward motion favoring tropical development, days 5 through 10. A lot of upward motion here in the Atlantic, so we're going to have a lot of development lighting up over Africa. Africa will continue to remain lit. And then days 10 to 15 look like this. Completely all this upward motion here. So very, very favorable for tropical development to ensue. That's from the European. The JMA, same kind of thing. This blue here is all upward motion. Here's week 1. Highly favorable for development. There's the rainfall anomalies being positive. There's the weakness at the 500 millibar pattern showing up quite nicely there. Week 2 from the JMA. Upward motion, big check there. Precipitation anomalies above normal. There's that trough feature that I'm worried about for 20 to the 25th, pulling a feature up to New England. That shows up quite nicely in the JMA. You got that trough, you got that ridge, so that's something to keep an eye on down the road. And then finally, with all that said, all that guidance looked at, and some additional guidance that I didn't include in here because there's just so much to talk about, I would never get done with this video. But here's pretty much a summary. Again, Humberto this weekend here in the red shading where I have the arrow here, somewhere in this red shaded here. Then the second feature coming across, development next weekend through here. And then days 8 through 10, it's in the Caribbean somewhere. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. But let me tell you, a lot going on. And later on, maybe tomorrow, depending on how the guidance comes into play with Humberto, future Humberto, I do believe you'll see a track and intensity forecast on that. Again, I want to get some consistency within the model, so I'm not flipping back and forth every single model run. So another 2, if not even 3 runs of the guidance, and then I'll begin to lock down on something with this feature coming to the Caribbean as of now. But stay tuned. We have a wild couple weeks ahead, and it's just the beginning. That's it for now, and thank you for watching.